All right, YouTube family, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a little bit of a special switch up from the normal content that I've been doing. We're trying to do a ban list wish list. So we're going to hide the cards at the bottom. The goal today is, what is the ultimate goal of a ban list? What is Konami's goals when they make a ban list? What are they trying to achieve? When we think about that, you got to understand they're a company that is trying to make a profit, make money. So what their goal is to stop you from playing your current decks, to play something different, something newer that they just made that's still in circulation. So you'll buy their sets, buy their product, and their goal is definitely not to have you play your older decks and have fun with that, unless you're going to buy support cards from the modern set or those decks, such as like SP Little Knight. So now that we know that, if this was a ban list prediction, we would go right into Konami's headspace and do that. But since this is more of a ban list wish list, where what's the goal of a wish list? Well, it's a player's idea of how to improve the game to make it for the better. Now, what is better, right? That's a weird question to ask. Better, to make the game better, objectively, is, there's going to be a few things there when we unpack that. It would be to make the gaming experience for the person going first, the person going second, to be more fun, enjoyable. What is the point of a game? To play, to have a good time. And so in that spirit, in that sense, we're trying to get in the headspace of how to create the best game possible. And with this wish list, that was my goal. So let's get into it. Starting things off, let's just scoop it down just a little. We'll do the first row. That kind of already reveals a lot. A little bit of a spoiler, but what can we do? We've got Appaloosa first and foremost. Now, this card's currently unlimited. A lot of people would say this card is completely fair. I wouldn't be one of those people. The goal of the game, the goal of this wish list is for the game to become more reasonable, more fun, more engaging, more interactive, and this card doesn't promote that. Technically, it supports interaction, but negates are the worst kind of interaction. There's a reason that Infernoble and Vanadium are not loved, and both of those decks make this card. They're loved by their current fan base. They're not loved by the general player base. So for me, for this wish list, this isn't a ban list prediction. The ban list prediction will come soon. I want to say that Appaloosa should be banned. I know it's a hot take, but the card is kind of belligerent, and whoever made it, man, I mean, that person should be in prison. Next is Yugioh. This card's currently limited. The goal, if we're trying to make a game balanced, more fair, there's a current crop of decks that are a little bit too powerful. I know I've heard that people say this is Trump format: Tier Elements, Rescue Ace, Unchained, Vanadium, and Purely. Tier Elements being around for so long, they should not exist in their current form. They do too many unfair things. They destroy rogue decks. They gatekeep, essentially, decks, certain decks from reaching their pinnacle of performance. In a similar way to Kashtira, Rise Heart, basically banishing the graveyard, these guys do it a little bit differently. They let you mill your graveyard, but they basically dump all your engine into the grave. And many decks really can't handle when their engine is just dumped without them playing first and getting access to certain cards from the extra and whatnot. So Yugioh should be banned. And while we're at it, quick, where is it? Okay, we'll do Kelbeck 2, and we'll scoop right back up. So both of those cards should be banned for the same exact reason. Their unique effects are really not that important here. What is another thing about the game that is absolutely obnoxious and that shouldn't exist? I believe it's floodgates. I don't think anti-spell should exist. I don't think that summon limit should exist. I don't think that rivalry should exist. I don't think that skill drain should exist. And I'm sure there's other floodgates here in this mess of cards, but let's just take care of that currently right away. All of these cards so far are cards that limit fun, limit interaction, and limit player engagement. And those are the core tenets, not to limit them, the core tenets of a good game would be interaction, fun, enjoyment. Both players can walk away. Even if you did not win, you still had a good time. And with these kind of cards in the game, it just promotes degeneracy. Why even play this game? If this game's about these first couple cards, if anybody wants some of these cards to stay, I mean, why even play a game? Just pick up Dark Worlds and do Solitaire. Then we got Escados. This card's just like Protos, a little bit worse, but now decks can just search Nemesis Flag because of the Banshee, and Riperdocus helps you make any type you want. The card is broken, should not exist. It's another Floodgate anti-fun card, should not exist in the game. Now, for a little bit more lightheartedness, let's do Kieran, right? The card is really powerful. At least it was. It hasn't been available for years. Could it come back to 1? I think it'd be fine. Pendulum hasn't done anything. The Magispector stuff's coming out. It seems to be fine. Throw the guys a bone. That's all I'll say about that. There's nothing more that needs to be said. Another change that I would do for the positive would be put Hitler Pot to unlimited. The only reasoning that Konami could possibly have to leave this card at 2 is the fact that it has a Hitler mustache. Other than that, I truly can't understand why Konami would do that. Now we have Dweller, right? Card's currently unlimited, but for this wish list, my goal isn't to particularly hurt any deck or to protect any deck or whatever. I have plenty of decks that I love that I would love to play, so there's no certain bias because I've played Unchained a little bit in the past or Branded that I'm gonna just be against Dweller for that reason. No, I think Dweller promotes unengaging gameplay. It promotes hypocritical gameplay, which is some of the worst things about this game, where I'm a graveyard deck. I make 2 level 4s. I spit this dude out at the end of my turn, and now you can't play graveyard even though I did. Hypocritical gameplay should not exist. Ban this card. Hot take. If you guys disagree, please comment down below. But my opinion, so far, Dweller, Floodgates, who is going to disagree with this type of stuff? Now we're going to go to the Bestials. You got my dude Saronir. Should he be unlimited? Hell no. Card is broken. Not because of its particular unique effect, but all of the Bestials have a broken effect. They are DD Crows, where DD Crow in its inherent design, it's a -1. You discard it, you lose that card. You start off with 1 less card in hand, and your opponent loses a graveyard effect. And they lose their ability to combo off. While the Bestials, they steal an opponent's graveyard resource, and all they did was summon themselves. There's no minusing, there's no negative drawback. It's just, hey, I'm here now. What's up? And they have great unique effects. Druisworm being the biggest culprit, but overall, they all have the same effect. I don't know why Konami does this. The point of having 3 of a card being a limit in a deck is because you want to limit unique effects. They just print the same effect on cards now, and then print the unique effect to be some useless random thing that no one even cares about. Who cares that Baldrake's effect is useless? It's got the standard Bestial effect, which is banish from the grave and summon its 2500 by 2000 stat line. Basically, you're summoning Elemental Hero Neos to the field for free. Actually, you're hurting your opponent while doing so. Limit them. They do not promote engaging gameplay, and they also harm future card design. You have to make dark and light decks stupid broken to be able to play through them, which is gonna just be disgusting. Leaving them at 3 or 1 each, and then the Magnum would obviously staying at 1. You have 4 copies, you have Rebellion to search 3, that's still 7 copies going first, and going second it's not unbearable, where with 4 you have like, what, 40-something% chance of drawing 1. It's still good, Dragon Link is still good, it's still good as a side deck card, you just have 3 of them instead of having 3 Druids or whatever really is clutch in that format. Now to keep it going, kind of bogged down on the Bestials, let's do a little bit more fun. Currently Dryden is banned, right? Should Dryden be banned? It was banned because of Zeus, Tri-Brigade, God knows why, right? With Barrage still being hit to some capacity, Rapier being hit, there's no reason this card can't come back to 1. Oh, decks will make two level 4s and then pop on a Laika and then on top of that a Dryden. Fine, so be it. It's 1 pop of a target face-up card. There's so many interrupts in today's game that are way better than that. The fact that it's unbanned is a joke. Now we have, right, we're trying to power down the power level of these decks in the game, of these top meta decks. You got Tour Guide, right? Tour Guide is Unchained's single best enabler. It's one of the best cards in the deck, and it really helps your hands play through a lot of interruption, going first or going second. I think I personally wouldn't do it, but I think for fairness sake, I wouldn't want an Unchained tier 0 meta. That'd be kind of lame. Then the deck would get destroyed. As a preventative, I would just put Tour Guide to 1. Then that would put that dilemma in a player's head. Hey, do I run the Tour Guide and the Rhino Warrior at 1 each, kind of like Gamma and Driver, kind of like weird, a little bit better obviously than that, but it kind of puts that in your head. Do I want to do this? Is it worth it? Right? It'd probably still be worth it, but it's a nice hit to consistency, almost like a Chaos Space Magnum would hit, but maybe a little bit more impactful because dragons have a million cards that they can just place in their deck. Well, the Unchained do not. And then one more hit for Unchained. It's a DDD hit, the Vice King Requiem. This hit, yes, it affects DDD, but overall I don't think DDD even runs this card. What it does is you don't have to hit Gates or Caesar, which would be punishing another deck for no reason, for the sins of a top deck, meta deck using the card. But DDD Vice King Requiem, neither deck, so Unchained needs the card to run the Dark Contract engine, the Machinex, and all that. It's a whole 3 new starters. It's a time card. It does so much for the deck. If you ban this card, I think we would cut the Dark Contract engine and the DDD engine. We'd have to supplement it with something else, and probably the deck would fall off in favor. I don't think the deck would be a part of the game, part of the meta anymore after these 2 hits. It would still be very powerful though, and still be able to make pretty interesting plays, especially with, still Rage into SP is broken. So Requiem to Forbidden, weirdly, right? But I didn't want to hit Caesar because DDD's truly, as degenerate of a deck as that is, it did nothing, so it doesn't deserve a hit yet. Now, I have some other hits that could possibly put DDD in the limelight, and then if DDD was powerful, then we could hit Caesar or whatever else is the problem card. Next would be Engage, right? Engage is currently semi-limited at 2. These are usually just consistency hits, so you don't see the cards often. I definitely put this to 3. The deck, as many have reiterated on the internet, the deck is pretty much just uncompetitive. I don't want to say useless, but it's towards that end of the spectrum. It's very, very lackluster. Giving it one more card, one more consistency piece I don't think it would change anything. Now, sadly, haven't posted any videos about this deck, but since I've been back in the game for the last year or so, Branded has been my main for a while. I love this deck. Probably it's one of my, it's come up there. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. The Branded Fusion should not be hit if it was just for the sins of Branded. Branded Despia currently isn't doing much. It's a powerful deck, but it's not what it used to be. The problem is Chimera is abusing it. Future decks will abuse it. It's not future proof, just like the Bestials are not, neither is Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion must be addressed, not because the actual deck's power level, but because future card design. It's a double Foolish Burial that gets you a fusion on the field, and some really powerful, nasty fusions. So I'm thinking if we put this to 1, it eliminates the ability to use this as an engine, unless you run Branded Opening, Aluber, and all those cards. That introduces discards, bricks, different things. This Branded Fusion is the pure engine that you would run. It's clean, Branded Fusion, couple Albaz, whatever. You don't need the Alubers or the Branded Openings. With this, you would have to run those more bricky cards to run this engine. So sadly, Branded Fusion to 1. Masterpiece, guy's currently forbidden. He's so cool though. Look at that freaking shield, that artwork. Oh my god, probably one of the coolest looking cards. Actually, that's a lame saying. One of the coolest. There's so many one of the coolest looking cards. Low-key the coolest looking card to come out in the last 7-8 years. He doesn't deserve it. Noir is more broken than he is. He can only be immune to 2 things at a time. Most decks in the game currently main Imperm, right? So if we're under the assumption that, hey, let's make him monster immune no matter what, you're picking your poison between spells and traps. If you make him trap immune, there's so many board breakers in the format. There's so many cards, such as even Book of Moon, that could just out him easily. And then if you make him spell immune, there's plenty of traps like Imperm that would just negate him. Plenty of traps that you can set, blow him up. And even better yet, if he's spell immune, he doesn't get the attack boost. He stays at 2950 and will be run over by battle. So Masterpiece to 1, completely fair, should definitely happen. Next card that should be hit. A lot of people are saying Big Welcome Labyrinth should be hit. I think it's the new card. It hasn't been reprinted. Konami hasn't cashed in yet. Something needs to be hit here, but over to if we're gonna hit everything, Labyrinth has to be hit somewhat, just so it doesn't become the overwhelmingly top deck. So we get like killed by trap cards. I think Welcome Labyrinth going to 1, just a light consistency hit. Maybe Ariana. I don't know enough about the deck to say what's the perfect hit for it. I just think one of these traps probably gets hit. Probably the one that's a little older. Then we got Pot of Prosperity. So funny enough, for all the reasons that Pot of Desires is fair, which is, you know, banish uncontrollable 10 from the top of your deck to just draw 2 random cards. Pot of Prosperity is the opposite. It's banish 6 of your choosing from the extra deck that you pick, and then you get to look at 6 cards and just take one. So you see Side, you see Engine, you see Hand Traps, you see whatever you'd like. It was adding Droll and Lockbird going first. Like you resolve your combo, pot at the end of the turn, do your banish 6 cards, and then just add Droll and you win. So this card has to be addressed. I think Konami could possibly semi-limit, but I think overall limit would do more damage. A lot of people hate the semi-limits, so we won't really put it there so that people don't scream, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. But semi-limit's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite parts of the list. Now, speaking of semi-limits, Hot Red Dragon King Calamity, I mean, this has to be the semi-limit. I think Konami, in their infinite wisdom, would definitely put something like this to 2, which would, make sense. I would agree with this. I think the card is honestly pretty fair. This card's stupid. I mean, the whole point of this wish list, what has it been? Stop problematic cards. Get rid of like disgusting, unfair, uninteractive garbage. Calamity is that to a T. No one cares about this card other than its stupid effect. I'm pretty sure the Hot Red Dragon deck, they don't even focus on this card. They should focus on the other big bungus that banishes your field, which is way cooler. And Centurion can pivot to that and Blazar Dragon, which are way more cool ways of playing. Now that we've addressed some of the top decks in the game, such as Unchained, such as Tier, right? We gotta address Purely, right? Purely's too strong. Gotta limit Sleepy Memory, right? It sucks limiting their memories, but they still would have technically, I think, 8 copies of the memories. Plus they would have the My Friend Purely's to be able to search them, and that was disgusting. They would still have they would still have 8 memories available to them. That's enough for starters with the My Friend Purely, and I just think something needs to be addressed because no one's trying to see Noir and draw 6 and blah blah blah. That's just way too much. Now we got, to make this make sense, we got Kashtira Fenrir, right? Card's currently at 3. It's very powerful. Can add itself. So stupid. It can banish on attack or effect activation. Just absolutely overtuned, stupid card. But in a weird way, in this current format, it's pretty fair. It helps decks go in second. It helps weird rogue decks kind of stay afloat. But as we all know, if the only thing that makes you a good deck is 1 unsearchable non-engine 3 of, that's the only thing that makes you a good deck, and you shouldn't have that card anyway. So, we're going to limit Fenrir. He does not deserve to exist at 2 or 3, because if you're going to run him, but you're going to be searching Unicorn or the Little Rise Heart or whatever, or Rise Heart, whatever his name is. We got Unicorn. He's at 2 currently, but I think he can come to 3, especially with Fenrir hit. Throw Kashtira a bone, losing one of their really powerful monsters. Now, to continue with the hits on the top decks in the game, right? We've hit Tier, we've hit Unchained, we've hit Branded, more Chimera than Branded. Chimera's been topping quite often, right? So it needs some sort of a hit. The problem is Chimera just pivots to another engine, so splashable. So it's super annoying. You gotta target them down and put them down. As Thanos said, you gotta aim for the head. So I would semi-limit Runic Tip, the first semi-limit. Might be kind of stupid, but with putting Fountain to 1 and Runic Tip to 2, I think that would discourage all the degenerate, Runic stuff, where you've seen Runic Stun and all sorts of, it's just almost like weird Mystic Mine kind of deck in this modern game. On top of that, you see it as an engine in so many decks. I'd like for that to be a little bit less popular, so people can actually experiment more than just throw Runic in everything, right? So this hit, I feel like, is pretty fine. Sprite Starter, Future Card Design, partly also why Runic should be hit. Future Card Design, You can't make anything level 2 without it going, hey, look, you can throw some sprites in there. Sprites, sprite, level 2. Look, I have two things. 2, right? The number 2 is my favorite. Like, so stupid, right? Sprite starter to 1. Just hit consistency a little bit. And while we're at it, let's do a sprite blue also, right? So the deck is still strong, but because you can still have different engines to make gigantic and you know, make your plays. I just don't want people to be starting with this. This is just too much, right? So putting these two at 1 is a pretty fair hit. Now we're gonna get to more degenerate stuff, right? We're gonna hit Ceruli to 2, right? Ceruli to 2. Dark Worlds, you know, needs the 3rd copy to play. Obviously that's stupid. Come on, I can't make the same joke twice. I'm not gonna. Forbidden, Ceruli. I know the deck isn't competing, but anything in the game that says you cannot play, I'm not a fan of. We take that out behind the woodshed and put it down. So while we're here, we got one more Dark World just to be safe. Just to be safe, you can't even have Silva because honestly, Dark Worlds, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, they're making all the structures they've been making. The Fire King structure deck, pretty sweet. Mid-range strategy, you can kind of mold it to be a little more combo-y. You can make it a little bit more control, but it's smack dab in that mid-range, pretty fair play style. Then you got, before it, the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend deck. Sweet. Like, the deck is cool. It's got, I'd probably say, another mid-range type strategy. You go back, you got Trap Tricks. Another more control strategy. These are cool interactive decks. And then you see Dark World, and they're just like, hey man, do you have a roll? No? How about you just sit down for a second while I play, and then I'll just let you know the result. If my Dugars gets me something good, I pretty much FTK you. That shouldn't exist, so I have these 2 cards. Especially because the deck still can summon Grapha, or not Grapha, yeah, Big Dragon Grapha, fusion monster. You can still discard gold. Gold can pop 2 cards on your opponent's turn, on your opponent's field, and gold can still do the Silva stuff where, like, when he's discarded, he special summons himself. So let's keep going with the degenerate cards, baby. Let's go Eradicator Epidemic Virus. F that card. That card's stupid. Should not exist. The card prevents you from playing. We all saw that replay where the dude just got his hand looped, all the spells. Yeah, he was a Kashtira player, but the fact still remains. Next is Dolphin. Card is straight up dog shit. Like, it's dog shit. To be able to normal summon, it's basically like the most OP tour guide I've ever seen. Normal summon connector, summon this dog shit from the deck, look at your opponent's hand, rip a card out. Man, get out of here with that, bro. Miss me, please miss me with that. Another floodgate we forgot, Rivalry. Self-explanatory, no one wants to play against that garbage. The fact that they can see in the future, right? So you can't summon, right? And they're like, pick which monster you want to keep. No, it's like, no. You have this monster, so you can't summon anything else different. Like, you just sit there, right? Barone, right? Barone is currently at 3. It's a really powerful boss monster. But what I've noticed is most decks that are combo decks just go, hey, let me just turbo into the same board ever. Same Appaloosa, Barone, Borderlord Savage, like this pattern. That's the most standard cookie cutter BS I've seen. I don't want that in the game because these decks lose their identity. What's the point of playing Infernoble or Mannadium when you make the same damn board? At least Infernoble has Charles. Some of these decks, like Mannadium, is absolute dog shit and should be smashed into the ground. The actual deck looks cool, has a cool playstyle, until it's hyper produced into this. All I go is all out into this one combo to make this degenerate board and automatically win the game. And these monsters have nothing to do with the actual archetype that I'm playing anyway. The only cool card in that deck is Astrolaud from the extra, basically. Anyway, continuing on, right? We've hit most of the top decks currently. We got hit Rescue Ace. Shout out to Jesse Cotton. He's been talking about hitting headquarters, banning it, basically. It doesn't hurt their consistency, it doesn't hurt this, doesn't hurt that. All it hurts is their ability to recur their resources easily. They'd have to run more bricks, or they'd lose a lot of their grind game, which I think is a must for this deck. Their grind game is too powerful. You can out their stuff, and it's just like, here, it's all back. So once Unchained is hit, Tyr is hit, right? Purely's hit, Mannadium, right? Infernoble. Well, you need to be able to hit Rescue Ace too, or else the deck becomes by far and away the best deck in the game. So Rescue Ace Headquarters might be too light of a hit, but because it's just one card, it's only a one of in their deck. But it's key enough their strategy where they're like putting stuff back that I think it's a warranted hit for balance. Now, one of the cards that for sure should come back, Pankratops 3. If we're losing Fenrir to 1, I think Pankratops 3 basically is even trade. Pank from 1 to 3, Fenrir from 3 to 1, fair trade. Diagram from 1 to 2, right? Let's keep it going. Draco, we're losing a lot of floodgates here. There's no floodgates left except like Monarchs Erupt, which is kind of hit or miss, specifically for tribute decks. It's kind of like their strategy. For now, it can be allowed. If it was a degenerate problem, you know, hit that in the next list. Droll Lockbird, right? We're hitting all of these stupid combo decks, right? So if we're hitting all the stupid combo decks, Droll can be banned. Because not only does it hit the stupid combo decks, it hits a lot of just the basic mid-range stuff too. It hits so many decks. If you draw the wrong hand, some people say that, oh man, Unchained, right? They can play through Droll easily. Sure, they can for the most part. But there's like a quarter of their hands where they lead with Abomination Prison or Pot. Guess what? Droll just FTKs that. It's like, it's kind of ass. So Droll, just because it checks unfair crap doesn't mean itself it is fair. It is not fair. The only true Branded Despia hit, because of Branded Despia, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, Forbidden, the card is absolute horse crap, should not exist. And probably I would just have, along with this, just mentally note, I would just put like Ra's Disciple, because the God card deck doesn't even run that card. I would put Yugioh, all those cards, just throw them in there. Don't have to worry about them. Cards shouldn't exist. Harpy's Featherstorm, right? We're hitting all these decks. Flew Under Ease might pop up as the top contender. It's just Dress Featherstorm. Harpies aren't really in the meta. Sadly, you know, Harpies, a GX deck, some of these other decks, they're kind of being hit unnecessarily for the sins of other decks. But truly, what can you do? It's either that or, you know, ban an entire archetype, like half their consistency cards, making it fully unplayable. Harpies are still playable in their current capacity. They went from being shit to just being maybe 3% more shit. And Flunderies goes from being a top contender to a solid deck. And that's what we're trying to do here. Trying to have a lot of solid decks. Make Pac lose his mind, because the format will be even more open after this. Heavy Storm, let's go. Put this to 1. Right, it's a going second card. So inherently it's fair. In some capacity. Right, probably not fair, but you know, more fair than these floodgates. Heavy Storm, with Harpy's Feather Duster being in the format, Lightning Storm being to 2, I think we could try 1 heavy just to try it out. It blows up your own stuff too, so if you draw it later in the game and you set some things, I mean, you're gonna have to sacrifice your stuff too. I know people are afraid that you can blow up your own cards and plus off that. There's really no instance I see of that in the game. I mean, if it's about Unchained doesn't run Darkhold, right? They can plus off Darkhold just as much as they can plus off Heavy Storm. So, yeah, I don't understand the logic. Next is Omega. Unfair, hand loop stuff. Hand affecting the hand, summoning to your opponent's field. That kind of stuff, degenerate, shouldn't exist. I was tempted to put that Weasel card from Salmagrade on this list. Monster Reborn, back to 3. Let's go. No one runs it at 1. No one would run it at 3. Maybe some weird combo deck. It's just a cool card, and you can even put it in going second to be able to kind of. Now when you think about it, now you can't even put it in on second. Yeah, the card's just not great, but it's cool. Like, it shouldn't be on the list. It's not Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial shouldn't come back, but Monster Reborn definitely could. And now we'll just do like the Dragon Rulers. We'll put this to 1, but I'm pretty sure it could come back to 3. The other 2 are at 1. Yes, these are the best ones, but if you look at their actual effects, they're hard once per turn. There's nothing there. Just to address Vanadium a little bit more, right? We hit the end board a bit, but they could always pivot to, they still have this pattern, Borolo Savage, and other negates. Let's just hit Lightheart, because Droll not being in the format, Vanadium could literally become the best deck. So we'll just put that, ban it, and take care of that. Grasshook Screener. I think it's fine at 1. I think Infernoids are coming out, give them a little bit more support. It being at 1 in today's format, such Ash Bait, if you run left arm offering, you're just FTKing yourself. So the grass at 1 should have no issue, especially because it's in OCG. I know they have Max C, it's a different game, but the thing that made grass broken was snow, and snow should never come back. Isolde, Infernoble, right? You still have Charles, you still have Borrowed Savage, you still have other cards that you can summon, disbatter, right? Sold, Lighthearted sold. Sorry, but those decks are degenerate. Let's hit Chimera again, right? Anubis. Anubis is stupid. Floodgate card, right? Locks you from graveyard. What is the point of these cards, right? Their deck becomes, I'm gonna turbo out this combo, send this guy to grave, summon him back, everything's negated, haha, look at me, I'm so skilled. There's no skill there. There's no interaction. It's trash. Now my dude Denglong, right? Let's put him to 3. Does nothing at 1, probably won't do anything at 3. If it does, put it back. It's pretty simple. Tisibu, whatever the people say. Tikabu, Tisibu, whatever. There can be only one. Floodgate. Simple. Get out of here. Shifter. Basically a floodgate. Just like Droll. Let's put it right there with his buddy. Shifter should be banned, not exist in the game anymore. Riprodocus, right? Some people say, that's stupid. Why hit Riprodocus? There is no benefit to this game of switching types of monsters in the field. That, I mean, literally, what did people do with that, what was it called? The Cyberstein, where they make him a psychic and then they equip a card and then they just can spam his effect for free and just FTK. I know it's not competitive, I know it's not good, but only that type of stuff ever gets used. The only time I've seen it used in any context where it's kind of fair-ish was the Rescue Ace combo to make Dark Fluid. And even that, like, who cares? They make other combos, so they don't need Reprodocus. And last but not least, Omega 3. Because there's so much hand traps in the game, removing a lot of these floodgates, removing a lot of these combos, Gamma would then essentially just become a hand trap, a trade 1-for-1. And it can only be ran in certain decks. I think it coming to 3 would be completely fair. So, that's it for the wish list. Thank you guys for watching all the way through. For anybody that's stuck all the way through to this, please comment. Tell me what you like about this list, where I went crazy off the wall. I know that a lot of these picks might be viewed as crazy off the wall, but I appreciate you guys' input. I appreciate your guys' loyalty. Please hit a like. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. And soon, within like the next few days, I'm going to post my actual ban list prediction, what I think Konami will actually do, and yeah, we'll see how far off it would be from mine. Hint, hint, it's hella far off. So, peace guys, and see you guys next time.